We're just going to bring all of our energy into this room and leave the world outside these doors and allow this hour to connect with that greater power, that greater love that lives within each and every one of us. And know that in this moment, any healing, any need can be completely met when we take our time out of the world and the things of the world and bring the intellect into the heart and start to connect through the heart and move in and through music and through visualizations and inspiration by Jack today. So we're going to start by chanting. They say to affirm something 3 times will solidify it in our subconscious mind, and so therefore we'll project it out and attract it back into our lives. So chanting, we do it many, many more times than 3 times. So join us. So I will do the call and she will do the response, and then she and I together will be the call, and then you guys will respond on your own. Okay.
Like to sit on the floor with your back supported by the seat of the pew.
Closer than breath,
closer than breath,
you are the air,
you are the air,
sweeter than life,
sweeter than life,
you are here,
you are here,
in times of strife,
in times of strife,
you are my peace,
you are my peace,
locked in my mind,
locked in my mind,
you are relief,
you are relief,
closer than breath, you are the air,
you are the air,
sweeter than life,
sweeter than life,
you are here,
you are here,
in times of strife,
in times of strife,
you are my peace,
you are my peace,
locked in my mind,
locked in my mind,
you are relief,
you are release,
by your grace,
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 by your grace.
by your grace. Closer than breath, you are the air, sweeter than life, you are here, in times of strife, you are my peace, locked in my mind, you are release, by your grace, by
welcome to the 5th lesson in our 10-lesson series on mastering this life and the next. Before I begin, I'd like to ask for at least a couple of volunteers to come up when the session is over to help clear this in preparation for the next service. A spiritual story is told about a monk who was chased by a lion off a 1,000-foot cliff. On the way down, the monk grabs a hold of a bush, which happens to be filled with ripe raspberries. And he stops to eat and enjoy the raspberries. The story ends there, allowing us in the world to wonder, doesn't he have any concern about what's going to happen? Actually, he doesn't at that moment, not until he finishes the raspberries. Because he lives in the here and now awareness, the enlightened awareness, which is the destiny of every human being. So that's the destiny we are called to, and that happens to be the journey we are on. Course in Miracles speaks to this idea of the here and now awareness in this way. Can we have the first PowerPoint, please? This is A Course in Miracles in the Old Text 234, in the New Edition 252. Look lovingly upon the present, for it holds the only things that are forever true. All healing lies within it, because its continuity is real. It extends to all aspects of the sonship at the same time, and thus enables them to reach each other. The present is before time was, and will be when time is no more. In it are all things that are eternal, and they are one. Their continuity is timeless, and their communication is unbroken. For they are not separated by the past. Only the past can separate, and it is nowhere. Can we take this back again, please? For those people that might be here for the first time, just consider the essential simplicity of this truth. Look lovingly upon the present, for it holds the only things that are forever true. All healing lies within it, because its continuity is real. What it is saying is that no matter what happens, it always happens in the here and now presence of one's awareness. That's all that's ever happening. The mind has all kinds of conditions and projections from the past and to the future. But none of them become apparent at all, unless and until they enter into the present moment awareness. So the future hasn't arrived yet, and the past is gone completely. Nevertheless, the mind forever conjectures and spins, and is forever involved in incessant thinking for the purpose of gaining some personal advantage or to heal some situation or condition. And all of that is just subterfuge. It doesn't bring us into the enlightened state where there is healing and where there is true communication. That true communication actually could be called telepathy. When you get into the present moment, you're living from the present awareness. You're looking upon everything as it actually is, not as how you may have once thought it was or should be or could be, but actually as it is. And so that's what the practice of the presence of God is about. God is found in the here and now awareness. In everything you look upon and everything you see is only God looking back at you and me. It could be said the only true religion leads us to be awake in the here and now process of living, which if we haven't found that place yet, if we haven't become enlightened in our experience, we are still operating in the incessant thinking of the mind. And we're being tossed to and fro by conditions and circumstances which we assume should suit our desires or fit our particular awareness. And all of that is just simply useless, unnecessary suffering. God-conscious masters do not live in that awareness. The movement into the divine present is accomplished by dropping the past, which is filled with projections derived from the illusion of separation. That illusion of separation is what we were born into, raised in, educated in. Our science, everything that takes place in the outer-directed, illusion-driven world is based upon that projection of separation. It is like the mind in the beginning sees a fragmented mirror, a broken mirror, and it looks upon each piece as being separate from the other pieces. And so it gives rise to the ego-centered illusion of life that there is me and all that is not me. On the higher level of mind in communication, that illusion does not exist, does not prevail, does not bring about its ongoing anxiety, depression, fear, worry, and disease. It doesn't happen on the higher level of mind awareness connection, which is only experience in the here and now, present awareness. So that's our journey and that is our goal on the spiritual path. Thus, people live in an almost constant state of anxiety who live in the thinking of the world. So, as long as that prevails in their awareness, they will not know what it means to truly be alive, to truly be here, to truly see the presence of the divine in all life. Until anyone sees the presence of the divine in all life, one cannot truly be compassionate, loving, serving, enjoying, or peaceful. So, if you want to understand where you are in the journey, just ask yourself the question: how aware of you are of everything that you look upon being sacred? For in truth it is. Outside that truth, it is not. So people living almost constantly in the world thought system are living in anxiety, worry, concern, fear, consternation. And they need to see the outcome of that thought system. they need to recognize that it doesn't bring forth harmony or peace in their lives. All the while that people are living in this limited awareness, the teachings of the masters are attempting to bring us into, to guide us, inspire us into the here and now present, which removes us from the anxiety because it removes us from the thought system of the world. The thought system of the world, very simply defined, is there's me, which is a body confinement illusion. The mind is not body confined. There is me, the separate body confined, isolated self, and all that is not me. That is the basic illusionary foundation of world thinking. And it is the underlying cause of man's inhumanity to man. It is the underlying cause of all conflict. It is the underlying cause of all war and all useless, unnecessary suffering. If you want to remain there, there's nothing that's going to grab you by the shirt collar and drag you out. There's only a recognition that remaining in this consciousness is total suffering. So, every true seeker comes to this revelation of oneness. It doesn't immediately remove him or her from the world, but it does remove him or her from the thought system of the world. To the here and now awareness in which there is no deceit, there is open communication. All minds are always in communication. Those minds that are not aware of that are still locked in the thought system of the world and are not benefiting from the harmony that is derived from living in the consciousness. Listen to it. Living in the consciousness of God. This is heaven in our midst. This is the truth that makes us free. This is the destiny of every human being. Whether or not a human being gets there, that's a matter of his choices, her choices on the path of life. So now let us take a moment to listen to the modern day master of the here and now consciousness, Eckhart Tolle. Let us take a listen to him. Can we have this up?
So when you realize that what's important is already here and not in the next moment, what really matters, that means you already have shifted to a different state of consciousness. It's very simple, just that realization. But it's so deeply ingrained, the illusion, the belief, the unconscious assumption that the next moment matters more than this one. Everybody inherits that mind pattern, and that makes life very frustrating. You all know that. Life consists only ever of this moment. So we are here to go deeper into this moment and not wait for something more significant in the next one. So we become comfortable with being here now and get rid of the illusion that there is something important missing from your life. Or there's something not quite right, that hasn't arrived yet, something, a very deep-seated illusion. There's something not right, but it's going to be right perhaps one day. The person who is still deluded by worldly things believes that it's going to be right when this or that happens, or I attain this or that. And the spiritual seeker believes it's going to be right when I become enlightened. In both cases, it's future, the promise of that. And you're continuously overlooking something vital that is very easy to overlook because the movement of thought is so seductive and hypnotic. There's a light in you, not a visual light, a presence that is essentially who you are. It has nothing to do with your past or future. And we are here to become familiar with being that presence consciously. If it feels good and right for you this moment to be here and to hear this, and almost, let's say, to recognize the truth of it, that means that's it. Just a sense of goodness and rightness of being here, that means that dimension that has no form is already arising.
Tolle's approach to this necessary transformation in consciousness is direct. It can be said this way: try not wanting anything otherwise. Live without wanting anything otherwise. Flow with what is. And allow that peace that surpasses the understanding of the thinking world to transform your awareness. You will be operating almost completely and directly in a telepathic communication that people will refer to as intuition. A lot of the things that you're always contemplating and trying to figure out and plan and work out is not going to be as effective as this awareness, which is God consciousness, this divine intelligence operating in yourself, through yourself. That's what it's all about. Can I have the next PowerPoint, please? From the book Stillness Speaks by Eckhart Tolle. When your attention moves into the now, there is an alertness. It is as if you were waking up from a dream, the dream of thought, the dream of past and future. Such clarity, such simplicity, no room for problem making, just this moment as it is. The moment you enter the now with your attention, you realize that life is sacred. There is a sacredness to everything you perceive when you are present. Then, I don't know what that word, let's see. Them or you. Oh, I see. The more you live in the now, the more you sense the simple yet profound joy of being and the sacredness of all life. So many of you have been coming to Unity for quite a while, and I know that you're involved in the practice, and some of you have actually entered the enlightened state and live from that. But check yourself out in the process of what you're doing. You can easily see how this truth of being in the present moment and not wanting anything otherwise, but the willingness to flow with the moment as it is a process of surrendering the illusionary self that Jesus speaks about. The life you are laying down is the illusionary life, the false defining life. So when you read in the scripture, laying down your life for others, you are beginning to understand the truth, which can only be found in the centering consciousness of the present moment. And practicing that present moment is what our daily yoga is about. So to do that, there's a handout. I hope the ushers gave this out as you came in. Sometimes they just leave it on the table out there. You know what this is worth? Everything. It's worth everything. Don't go away without it. At the conclusion of it, on this particular notice, it has that meditation that was the Vietnam mystic meditation. It goes like this. We'll use it tonight in the silence. With each word, you breathe in or you breathe out. So the meditation is in, out, deep, slow, calm, free, smile, release. Present moment, wonderful moment. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. To help us enter into that relaxed and beautiful, expanded state, we'll begin with our Tibetan bowls. as we go forth from this meditation to those places we occupy in time and space. Let us go forth with a greater determination to be involved in the practice of the presence, in the moment of awareness. In doing this, the body becomes an emissary of peace, an emissary of service to life, an emissary of joy. And for this opportunity in every moment, we give thanks. In the name and the power of that life, the living Christ. To this we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. As we're preparing to do that, I'd like to remind you that we have a very interesting new service taking place on Saturdays at 5 o'clock. You might want to stop in and check it out. Very interesting what Shad is doing there. And of course, you're always invited to stick around, have some tea, and hang out for a really beautiful, musical, insightful service guided by Santisha. As we take our offerings in our hands, let's bless them with this offering statement. Divine love is my true life and my conscious destiny. Therefore, I give. Together, please. Divine love is my true life and my conscious destiny. Therefore, I give.